Middle children. We all know the stereotypes of middle children being the one that are always not looked after, neglected, can't ever get anything right, or even if they do get something right, it's not enough, or it's just like, eh, good job, whatever, no one cares. We have more important matters than to. Same thing kind of happens in video games where you have the firstborn, the one that started it all, the one that's groundbreaking. It has that novelty to it, and it always has a warm place in someone's heart. Then you have the youngest one that's stereotypically the one who's most looked after, who is spoiled at times, who whatever he does, it's if he does something bad, it's no big deal. If he does something even remotely good, it's amazing. And usually in games, the latest installments, they're always the most refined ones and have always the best, most refined mechanics and story and whatever. And then you have as I like to call them, I might have coined a new term, I don't know, I didn't research it, middle children games. And we're going to talk about a few of them. And those games are always caught in the middle of not being the one that's groundbreaking and not being the one that's most refined and I guess the best. They have good stuff to them, good good meat on the bones, but in comparison, it's just falls short. Sort of, they're kind of not defined well, and just kind of go under the radar at times. Most of the times, when you talk about sagas and trilogies and whatnot. And today we're going to cover four, as I like to call them, middle children games that have their own reasons and specificities as to why they are often overlooked or underrated. Even when they're critically praised, they are rarely revisited. The thing with them is they don't take as many risks since they're the second game, they already have a well-established formula that they can just follow. They take fewer risks and thus they just inherit systems that are loved by the players. And at times, the thing that held them back was, we're going to talk about it later, is where they were, on which platform they were released at the time. Their role in all of this, it's kind of to just hold the line of where the games are going, to bridge some gaps if there are, and to just, I guess, refine on what the first installment did, or well, not doesn't have to be the first, but like the prior installments, what they did. And thus they're just kind of keepers of, I guess, legacy of sagas, so to say. The first game we're going to talk about today is one that's near and dear to my heart, and one that the younger me would have not known that it's a underrated and not really that loved game in its own saga, and that's Blood Omen 2, Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen 2, very long name. Fans of the Legacy of Kain series often refer to this game as a black sheep in the Legacy of Kain series. Why they refer to the game as a black sheep? There are many reasons as to why. First of all, Legacy of Kain series is famous for its complex lore, deep characters, even Shakespearean dialogues, and all of that, it's kind of missing in Blood Omen 2. Compared to Soul Reaver and Defiance, its plot is just simple. I could say even just straightforward and simple. No time travel, no timeline alternation and whatnot. It's just a simple character building story, just a simple power fantasy. Although Kain and his voice actor, it's Simon Simon Templeman. They did an amazing job as in every installation of Legacy of Kain. But apart from that, the rest of the characters are just kind of forgettable. Not the characters themselves, but their role, their dialogue is just not up to standard compared to the other Legacy of Kain entries. There are though some funny boss fights. Most notably, the one that I remember is the one guy you push and into the steam, and then he starts screaming all over the place and starts running. And did I mix up two bosses at one? I don't know, man. But yeah. Anyway, the game itself, it's set in a alternate timeline away from the main timeline of Blood Omen 1, Soul Reaver, Defiance. It's set at the end of Soul Reaver, like after the end of Soul Reaver 2, where Kain saves Raziel and then thus restarts another. Not a fan of time travel, but yeah, it's set after that, and that just kind of left fans confused at the time because you had like four or five. Yeah, yeah, games in the main timeline, and then you just have this outlier. It just kind of left them feeling, why? What's the point of this? It's not progressing the story at all. It's just a standalone filler, even. That might be due to Amy Hennig not directly working on the game. It's still developed by Crystal Dynamics, but not by Amy Hennig's team, but a separate team. As I researched, that maybe also played a role in it, alongside being developed by another team as compared to the original. It also was under a tighter schedule and a tighter budget. Apart from the lore, not lore, but plot and story being weirdly disconnected from the main, that also is reflected in the gameplay itself. You might know that the original, like Blood Omen, like mainly Soul Reaver and Defiance games, they're popular for its platforming, traversal, interesting puzzles. Well, all of that is kind of just not there in Blood Omen 2. The level design, it's pretty linear and at times boring even. This comes from a guy who loved Blood Omen 2, but I'll get to why I love it later. And there's actually, like, I might be wrong, but like there's no puzzles, and even if there are, they were pretty easy. Although yeah, there were some where you kinda yeah, you had to use that dark gift to manipulate people and from a distance and then tell them what to do, but that was all pretty simple and required kind of no brain power at all and just basic. One also reason that fans kind of did not like Blood Omen 2 was that the art style was just kind of completely different. Like in Soul Reaver games and in Defiance, uh, in Soul Reaver game and in Defiance, you have that very mystical, ethereal, fantasy art style, very surreal. While in Blood Omen 2, it's more a steampunk art style. I personally think it's very cool and I love it, but I can see why some people would be put off by that because it just kind of stands out from the rest awkwardly in the middle, not in the middle, but even in the corner. Like it's just there. Although unfairly, I'd say the art style is very cool, especially Meridian is it's so atmospheric, especially with the atmospheric soundtrack and the dark, gritty vibe. It's very cool. And now maybe the biggest reason as to why Blood Omen 2 is Blood Omen 2 in the community? It's because the gameplay. It's a very melee combat focused game. You also had melee action in the other installments, but not to this level. In Blood Omen 2, the main gameplay loop was just straight up melee combat. You have your long claws, you have weapons that you can use from the environment, which is cool as hell. You can use weapons from the enemies and they have durability. When the weapon breaks, you gotta get a new one. If not, you have to use your claws. And the best part of the combat was the dark gifts. You have like 12, I guess, dark gifts, maybe less, I think, that you get from defeating main bosses. I mean, not main bosses, they're only main bosses in the game. And they enable different kind of abilities. You start off with that big ass jump and the one shadow misty thing where you can snap people's heads off. Then you have like a fury, some berserk, some mind manipulation. There's many others, but yeah, definitely not 12. There were less, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Correction, not 12. Or where did I get 12? But yeah, the dark gifts were, uh, in my humble opinion, the best part of the game because they really amplified the Kain power fantasy because you played as a younger version of Kain, not the one with the crusty green skin. That was disgusting. When I first saw that green crusty ass grandpa, I was like, where's my guy with them sick ass armor? And you play as a younger Kain, as I said, and that's very cool because it is very powerful and also has great one-liners.
I'm dying.
Yes, you are.
As I said, Kain's part of dialogue and all that, it's great. He still has that iconic voice, great one-liners, great dialogue in general. And if you want to play as a badass Kain, just play Blood Omen 2. More than enough. I think there's a release on PS2. I think so. They released the whole collection. Do that. I swear, do it. It's good. Blood Omen 2, it's kind of not appreciated by fans because it's different from all of the rest. But trust me, the combat, it's fun, it's visceral, it's powerful. Different from the other ones, yes, but it has its own charm in its own way. Daxter from Jak and Daxter, just Daxter. This is the first entry in the category sadly released on a console that's not so popular, and thereby it got banished to the Shadow Realm. Daxter performed pretty well, but outshone by the main Legacy. Daxter released on the PSP in 2008? I don't know. And as the title suggests, you play as Daxter from Jak and Daxter, and it's the first entry and I think the only entry, where you play as the sidekick to Jak, and that by itself is gonna cater to a different audience and establish its own kind of charisma, where Daxter is, as we'll get to know him, he is a much more lighthearted and comedic character, and the game reflects that pretty well. The main gameplay loop is you exterminate bugs using different tools and weapons, but also there's a lot of humor intertwined. The whole plot is generally just lighthearted. Compare that to the serious and dark dystopian world of Jak 2, Jak 1, all the main entries. It being released on the PSP kind of restricted its scope and scale, so the game wasn't really open world like the main entry games. It did focus also on platforming, but didn't really have that open world to really express that, so to say. And thus, it just kind of lacked in the spectacle and scale of Jack, since the game is located in a time gap between Precursor Legacy and Jack 2. Jack Precursor Legacy and Jack 2. It kind of doesn't really advance the plot. It covers the backstory of what happened in that 2-year time gap, and thus it was just seen as a sort of filler by the fans, sadly, but it's still a very fun game. Additionally, beside being seen as a filler, if not that, it's also seen as not important because people saw that it's just lighthearted and comedic and just kind of wrote it off as compared to Jack 2. Daxter was not developed by the original developers, Naughty Dog. It was developed by Ready at Dawn, which made some great PSP games. And such, it kind of, that gave its aura of, I just said the word, God damn it. Unironically, oh my God. It gave it that vibe of just not being kind of unofficial. So kind of not canon, even though it's canon, but not made by Naughty Dog, so it's kind of, what's great about Daxter, though, is that it's about Daxter. Daxter is just a very funny, goofy little goober, little critter. And as we get to know him deeper as compared to Jack and Jack 2, and we get to know him through these dreamlike sequences where when he goes to sleep, you can like have Matrix, Lord of the Ring mini games, which kind of just tell you how he's kind of a nerdy guy, whimsical little goober. Apart from the dream sequences, the general gameplay didn't quite lack anything. It had fun combat where you were zapping bugs. It had fun traversal, and it actually had creative levels that really flew nicely and played very smoothly. Daxter kind of really pushed the possibilities of the PSP with its great animation, great voice acting, and actually just very good level design as well. While some fans might look at it as a filler, actually the backstory doesn't feel like that. You get to know what happened in the 2-year time skip, what is this, One Piece? And how Dexter met up with Jack afterwards. Another middle kid banger, and it's Hitman Contracts. Oh my God, okay, damn it, it's a good game, shut up, okay, I'm sorry, damn, a lot of to unpack here. All these games are just games I played as a kid. Most of them were my introduction to a series, and I kind of had the luck of playing the unpopular game first and fell in love with the unpopular game, and then kind of just got confused later when I learned that people kind of don't like them and not appreciate them enough. So all of these are very close to my heart, and I think they deserve their flowers. But yeah, Hitman Contracts, most underrated and underappreciated game in the series. The main reason why people did not like Hitman Contracts was because it was just sort of a remake of missions from Codename 47, the first Hitman game, as well as it being made in a crunch again, like Blood Omen 2, and didn't have a full production like Blood Money did. It just kind of recycling prior levels, also limited how long the campaign can be, so it has the shortest campaign out of Silent Assassin and Blood Money, because the story, it's just a bunch of hallucinations and memories from Agent 47 while he's unconscious, and the player gets this sort of fragmented story and plot, and kind of has no overarching arc, no grand arc to complete the story. It's just You play through a bunch of memories and hallucinations. That's all. This is truly a middle children, not middle children, it's a middle child game. It's overshadowed by Silent Assassin, who had great breakthrough in stealth games, and it was preceded by Blood Money, which is arguably the best installment in the original saga. It was preceded by Blood Money, who had very polished mechanics, it had very deep systems, and it had very iconic levels, and also a longer gameplay length. But I think there are many positives to Hitman Contracts, and I will stand on that hill until the cows come home. The main positive is that no other Hitman game has such a dark, moody, neo-noir atmosphere, and combined with Jasper Kidd's insanely addicting soundtrack that just perfectly fits into every level. And I spent so much time on the Hitman Contracts main menu listening to that soundtrack. Oh my god, it's so good. And unfortunately, it does it the best from any other Hitman game. That atmosphere combined with that soundtrack, it's just, oh, it's so good. It recreating Agent 47's original missions is sort of a double-bladed sword. Double-bladed? Two-blade? Double-edged sword? Two-edged sword? I don't know how it says. Oh,
Hindi pininging.
anyway, being recreations of, well, not recreations, kind of remakes of Agent 47's, codename Agent 47's missions, as it's also a good thing at the same time. I hear you hate it, there's many people that hate it. Hear me out. If you loved the original codename 47, you will love Hitman Contracts, because it improves the design of the levels, the look of the levels. AI agents are much smarter than Codename 47's. And, maybe controversial opinion, has better gunplay than Silent Assassin, which Silent Assassin was pretty strict when it comes to non-stealth gameplay. Hitman Contracts it's still a stealthy game, still a Hitman game, but you don't get banished to the Shadow Realm if you kind of just take a wrong step, take a wrong breath at the wrong time, and a dude from the end of the corridor kind of spots you, snipe 360 no scopes you, and whole Russia is on your back running after you. You can just kind of hard, but you can run and gun like it's CS2. But this is what I'm saying. Hitman Contracts set a good basis for IO's open and creative and free-flowing stealth that they perfected in the later installments. And you playing through the coma, it gives you a sort of surreal horror-like twist to the original Codename 47 levels, which some fans might actually appreciate. But if you like Codename 47, you'd like Hitman Contracts. And if you love David Fincher and his movies, you should play Hitman Contracts, because it's like Hitman Contracts, it's as if Hitman and David Fincher, they just kind of met and had a few drinks, and they kind of end up having a love child, and that love child is Hitman Contracts. And yeah, God of War, Chains of Olympus. God of War, Chains of Olympus. Hold on, I gotta adjust my mic. God of War, Chains of Olympus. Again, my entry to the God of War series. It was the least popular God of. It still is. Maybe Ascension is less popular. But anyway, my first rendezvous with God of War, and it's at the time the least popular one. Like Daxter, Chains of Olympus had those chains
Oh my god, bro. Hell no.
around its ankles, and that is being released on the PSP only at first. Then it released like in collector's editions and whatnot, and although they released after, all those bundles kind of just didn't help sell much, because you had God of War 3 and the best game in the original Greek saga. So if you're not if you're a hardcore fan, you might play it, but if not, like, there's kind of no reason to play Chains of Olympus. Or are they? We're gonna talk about that later a bit. Similar to Contracts, Chains of Olympus has a pretty short runtime. I remember when I played it as a kid, like as a 10-year-old, I blasted through that game in like 7 hours playing on like the Spartan difficulty, Titan, why the one above? I mean, the one below the hardest one, or above, as above, so below. Yeah. And the game being so short, it kind of again made it look like it's a filler game, like it's not important to the story, even though it is. For Kratos' story and his personal story, it's very important. But that short runtime just kind of doesn't do it any good, and doesn't help it at all. Probably I'd say the biggest complaint I have with Chains of Olympus is that the whole scale of the game, and especially its boss fights, they were just not at the God of War standard. Like, the biggest guy you fight is it the first boss, the Basilisk? Like, all the other bosses are just kind of not that interesting in scale. Like, they're fun boss fights, but it's not Kronos, it's not Ares, it's not the Colossus of Rhodes, it's not that. And if it wasn't a God of War entry, fine, whatever. But it's a God of War entry, and thereby you expect a sort of scale and grandiose arenas and bosses and whatnot. But it is, and that kind of deflates the player. Accompanied with a shorter runtime, the game is placed before God of War 1 actually, and kinda again, it makes it seem as it's, why would I play this? I already know what happens. It can't be that important. And sort of it isn't important to the main plot. As I said, it's just important to Kratos' story. And if someone wanted to play it, it would seem like optional backstory. And which it kind of is. It's optional backstory at the end of the day, sadly. But the game, again, deserves the praise for bringing God of War to handheld, which is insane at that time. In 2008, you had the best hack and slash out there on your handheld device. And it played amazing. It had the original moves, it had all the animations, the flashiness, the quick time events, those events. This is as well developed by Ready at Dawn. And as I said, they had great team for PSP. It had great optimization. It had virtually no loading screens at that time and if you think about it, that's kind of crazy. Like, the PSP, it's a handheld from the early 2000s, and you cram a God of War game inside with no loading screens basically, and it plays great. Like, great. Their optimization it's so good. Apart from combat, God of War generally has good puzzles and good level design, and that's not missing from Chains of Olympus. I remember playing that puzzle in Helios' temple where you have to redirect the rays of sun and all, and my little 8-year-old brain, 8-year-old, 10-year-old. Anyway, it had so much fun doing that. And that's what I'm saying, like, especially Helios' temple and the underworld was a really good fleshed out set piece. And oh my god, I almost forgot. You have arguably the best not sidearm, but weapon. And that's Zeus's gauntlet that you get from the underworld. And I wish that they somehow brought it back to the newer installments, like in God of War 3, for example. That weapon was so fun to use and so OP even, like, it was so good. And now we get to the story of the game and why it's actually important if you care about Kratos as a character. It's a more personal story where you see why Kratos is in servitude to the gods. Not willingly, he is chained by the chains of Olympus. And near the end, you see Calliope. You meet Kratos' daughter Calliope that he murdered himself alongside his wife. You meet her in the fields of Elysium, where you meet Persephone as well. And insert the iconic Leave Your Kid minigame. Yeah. Anyway, it's a serious topic. You meet Calliope and you see what the gods make Kratos do. They make him choose between saving the entire world or saving his daughter. Not saving, but spending time with his daughter. Of course, newsflash, spoiler alert, he chooses to save the world, although that was such a actually heart-wrenching scene where Calliope is crying and just Kratos is ignoring her to deafen his sadness. That makes for the game to have a very bittersweet ending where, yes, you, I guess, did the right thing, but at what cost? You could have what you always wanted to have, but you were forced to leave it. Talking about Persephone, a plus point to Chains of Olympus is you get to like interact and meet less famous characters from Greek mythology. Persephone, the wife of Hades. Well, Atlas is not less known, but Atlas. My favorite character, Charon. Is that how you pronounce his name? We'll be right back. Yeah. It is Charon. Karen, not Karen, it's Charon. Whatever, the ferryman. He beats your ass. He wipes the floor with Kratos. Then you go to the underworld, get Zeus' gauntlet, beat his ass. But yeah, you meet even Eos, Helios' sister, you meet her. And it's just a nice detail where the lore kind of deepens and you see that there's other gods apart from the Olympians. What Chains of Olympus how Chains of Olympus plays out, it's more akin to a classical Greek tragedy play, especially in the latter half where you see Calliope and you struggle to get to her, and also you see, since Chains of Olympus kind of bridges the gap between God of War 1 and Ascension, you see how Kratos is basically enslaved by the Greek gods, and combined with the ending, which is kind of leaves a bittersweet taste in your mouth, it really you see how it kind of plays out as a classical Greek tragedy, the one you would see in Greek plays. And that's about it. There's obviously more games that fall into this category of middle child games, but I don't have all the time in the world, although I'd love to talk about all of them. I think all of those games have a sort of certain charm to them. And I think they deserve praise because it's easy being the best game, the newest installment with the most refined mechanics and story. And it's also easy being the first game because you have that upside of being the first game and you can do basically whatever you want. You kind of set the story and the mechanics and the groundwork for the later installments. But being the second installment, it's mostly awkward because, as I explained at the beginning, the games don't know what they are. Do they innovate? Do they just stick to the proven strategies? What do they do with the story? Like, are they going to be better than the first one? Set a good foundation for the next installment? All of that is dependent, second and middle installments. And unfortunately, some of them, like we talked, get overlooked, unfortunately, being due to the game releasing on a not so popular platform, being sandwiched between two giants, like for example Hitman, or just being a different plot with a different character that's separate from the main character, main plot, like in Daxter, for example. So yeah, what I wanted to say today is play the underappreciated games, give them a try. You'll find a way, hopefully, to like them at least and appreciate them for what they are. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to watch more of these types of videos, of these types of analyses, click here or here. I don't know where I'm gonna put it. And yeah, peace out.